These are the Chat City interviews from 103.2 Preston FM. But now I'm joined in the studio by Edith Harrison. How are you doing?
I am fine, thank you. Fine.
Now, we were chatting a little bit off air about some of the things that you've been up to. One of the things that we're going to talk about today is the creative writing courses you've taken part in.
Yes. And that is at the Town Hall in Preston. And it began last year with a lady called Leslie Pritchard, who's the organiser and coordinator. And Leslie does all sorts of things for people in the community, and creative writing course was one of them. So I decided to ask her if it would be possible if I could run the course as doing the poetry and things like that. And she was pleased and said, yes, come along, because it's all linking to International Women's Day and it's telling a story. So the main part of this International Women's Day is reflecting back women from all cultures who happen to live in Preston, and we've all got a different story to tell somewhere. And so my story, because I'm now over 60, is like talking about what our mother's era, my mother's era, and the war times, and the things that mother left in her possessions that are very valuable and treasured and sentimental. And mother left a small little sewing box. We sisters always remembered her sat there with the, at night time or in the glow of the firelight and things like that, always doing something for us, always, there was very, very strong women and very, very different perhaps in, like linking to our time now. And they made the most of it, and these wonderful parents, beautiful childhood, and it was lovely. And I really do, I value that so much. So Mum left this little black box, and I've made a poem about that. And also my time when I was working in the mill in 1960. And a lot of women I speak to, they say, oh, the mill, it was horrible. It was very noisy. The noise was dreadful, and it was awful. But because we was only young, us girls, we loved it. We didn't care about it being horrible. We didn't see it as horrible. It was a place for fun. We worked on big, awful machines, awful looms that was always breaking down, and there wasn't even a proper... like health and safety. What's health and safety? There was no such thing, never unheard of. There was a sort of water cannon, type of stuck on the wall, and it used to spit out hot water when you put your cup under and you jump back. And it was so unbelievably unsafe and really dangerous. I mean, we was in it. We went down. We actually entered the mill through going down quite like a tunnel. So we was underground, and we was in a massive shed with possibly hundreds of weavers there. And then the other side we had spinners and different parts of the mill. But they were the best days of our lives, and this is another story made into a poem about the mill.
You said you've brought these poems with you this morning.
I have brought them with me, yes.
Would you like to read one to our
I'd
listeners?
love to. Now, this one is about my mother's keepsake and the little black box. Incidentally, this is actually displayed in a display cabinet at the Harris Museum upstairs there, because what we did at the end of all this writing and taking objects in from the past which linked to social history of parents and grandparents, there's a display cabinet there with my mother's little black box in, and my poem of the war, the mill years, sorry. And there's different objects from different people and different people's lives. And it's fascinating.
It was was it part of the Women's Community Network?
It is part of the Women's International Day.
Yeah, and everybody was asked to bring in something.
So whoever had something to talk, to show, and to put down in words, or just perhaps do a piece of art and do a little verse and bring some objects in. Like one lady took in an old wallet that was from probably her grandfather's during the war with a bullet hole in it.
Goodness.
And so that was display, that it was absolutely amazing, the things that you look back on and think, gosh, how brave and how different to now. Everything's so different in a lot of ways, and but yes, the objects we took in are in the Harris Museum upstairs in the display cabinet, and there's also done by another group of ladies, is like a big piece of fabric with Edith Rigby.
Oh, big fan of Edith Rigby.
Yes, yeah. Edith Rigby was a wonderful lady, and she really was strong. I mean,
she was the first woman in Preston to ride a bike.
Yes, she was the first woman in Preston to ride a bike. She went in Walton Prison for a few times on hunger strike because she didn't believe in... She was fighting for women. She was basically.
She was one of our first suffragettes in town, wasn't she?
Wonderful.
She was amazing. I'm a big fan of Edith Rigby.
So this is what we've been doing, and we've found all this historical stuff and family stuff and going back in the past, and I did the poems.
So will you read us your poem then?
All right. Now this one is called My Mother's Keepsake. Little black box, needles of silver and buttons galore, reminiscent of mother, sewing by the glow of the fireside long ago. Make do amend, mother would say, learnt from an era yesterday, remembered with love today.
That's beautiful.
And that's just a short sort of memory, but just put very short into how I felt about that. And mother, I cry every day for her, I'm sure I do. I still do. I love beautiful parents, beautiful childhood. The 50s was beautiful. It was just after the war, but it was a time of fun. The children played out. We couldn't wait to go out, get home from school, go and play with the friends. Didn't need money. And everyone was happy somewhat. Even the elder people who'd suffered through the wars. And it was a quiet, calm time. It was lovely. And then I entered the mill. This wonderful mill. And this is my poem about myself as a girl at 15 in 1960. And it's called Millwork Girl. 1960, clocking in 7:15, docking pay if quarter of an hour late. 7:30, the weaving shed. Down a tunnel, huge, forbidding, hazards lurking in every crevice. Banging, clattering, rusty screech of wheels, the noise was deafening. Shuttles flew across the looms, reminiscent of bonfire and bangers. The young girls took it all with a light heart, finding fun and time for girly chats. Excited, making plans, weekends, partying. Nothing dampened youth or their dreams. The old women soldiered on. They were the crooks to follow. Their story was grim. And they knew nothing else, only toil and strife. Break time, copper boiler hanging from wall, spurting boiling water when used. No windows in this underground dungeon. Health and safety, what's them? Payday, basic wage, £3 per week, old money. £4 if lucky, if you had a good loom. No problem for women, sturdy, spirited, the best days of our lives, we young said. 1960, the era of plenty work, age no issue from 15 to 80, and life rolled on. Today, the mills are gone, work is hard to find, and work is harder to keep. Unemployment gone through the roof, no one's safe. The young need help to survive. The future for women and children is bleak. The future is vague. Predictions are sketchy. The best days of our lives as mill girls have gone never to return.
Thank you. It's listening to that then, and you're thinking how when you were working, you were always looking forward to like payday and the weekend. And when I was like 16, I had, obviously it wasn't a mill. I worked in a fast food place, so it was dirty and it was sticky and it was horrible, smelly. Yeah. But I was still always really excited towards the weekend. And
that's right.
It's hearing things like that and realizing things have changed, but how people are still just the same inside.
The emotions are still. The child, the person, and the teenager, and the old person, the elderly person, who's been through such a lot. Yes, there was still happiness there.
Yeah,
there was still something to look forward to. And mother went home to mother with a beautiful meal on the table and played out. And this is where I think, and this is a personal thing really, I think it's sad. Because today's it's a revolution what's happened today. We've seen a revolution, another one. Mm-hmm. The internet.
Oh, yeah.
The technology, the iPods, the LeapPad, the this, the that. And I can't keep up with all this. But I do learn the computer. I love being on the computer and things, but it's sad because I think it's taken away such a lot of youth and fun. And the freedom. And the addiction, I think there's an addiction, perhaps with some young children. The texting.
Oh, people don't, always online.
People don't chat same then if you're texting. And the texting and the letter writing seems to have gone.
Yeah. In your creative workshops, was it all handwritten? Did you all write it on?
Oh, yes, handwritten.
Old-fashioned notebooks.
Oh, yes. And I went to college when I was over 40, 24 years ago, and I went in my 40s and I started doing nursery nursing course. I was there years and years. I loved it. I went all through from foundation stage to near enough the top, and then I had enough after 12 years, but I absolutely loved it. And I did all the writing except for the last course, when I got an old computer. But all the writing for a lot of years, the drafts, the scribbling out, the presenting into the folder, the book, the exams, everything, all by hand.
Oh.
Yeah.
I do love. I'm going to, again, like showing my shoes to Norma. These are my, look, I've got my handwritten notes here because I do enjoy a good notebook. It's nice to have something to hold, and like when you've got your poems, you've got a physical copy of it. It's that tactile touch, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Now, during the nursery nurse course, I'm not saying there was no computers, of course there was. There was an IT centre which I had to go in, but I found it difficult. I'd rather just write it from my mind and research the books, go to the library, research it. And I found it difficult to work. I found it difficult. I'm all right now. I love writing stories and poems, etc. But yes, I just got used to that way of living. That's the ways it was.
Yeah.
That's the ways it was in the mill time, and the home, and the social history was. It certainly turned around full scale, and I don't think it's for the better in a lot of ways, because I'm older. But I do understand the young, and I understand it must be still hard for them. still, you know, for any person, because what's happening now, we can see it with our own eyes, and you read the paper and you look out there and there's work that's just folding up, there's no jobs hardly. And I feel so much for people, because when I was 15, at the age of 15 in 1960, I could walk out there and get 5-6 jobs just like that. From Woolworths to the cafes to the mills, chocolate factory, everywhere. And it was wonderful, but these are the big differences.
Very big. So you talked about this in your creative writing shops. Is there another one coming up that people can come down to?
Yes, of course. There's a lady called Leslie Pritchard, and she works at the town hall. And I've got some dates. They're only a monthly now. We've finished with the International Women's Day project, but we're going back each month. So if I can let you know the dates,
absolutely, yeah.
And then you could bob along, and I'll ring you up and find the dates out.
Yeah, we'll put them on our thing.
Certainly, and you can come along and speak to Leslie. I'll be there, probably another couple of ladies. It's a various group. It's a group of, perhaps we have a few people some week and not many the next time. But
well, I'm sure now we're going to tell everybody.
Yes,
they'll all come down.
It's wonderful. I love it, yes.
It's been lovely to speak to you this morning.
Lovely.
Thank you very much for sharing your poetry with us.
And thank you too.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. We hope you've enjoyed the interviews as much as we have. Why not give us a tweet at ChatCityPFM?